Welcome back to Peaks 47. So today I'm going to start putting my first layer of scenics on in this area. I might actually get round to doing this area that somehow has just been left for so long, so it'd be nice to finish this area off, start getting some more details in on here, some washing perhaps on the line and some other bits and bobs. But I just wanted to do a shout out and a special thanks to Will and Peter from the LMS, All Things Modelling Society, on Facebook. They had a look at my track plan and were kind enough to give me a heads up on where I wanted these ground signals. So as you can see, we've got one here that's now already in its scenics. There'll be another one here that I've mounted on a bit of cork, so it's just a little bit higher. I feel like that's going to be too low down there, so that'll go into place there once the scenics are down. And then there'll be two more here, and then I think on the plan was another one that went somewhere here and another one here. So yeah, special thanks to those guys, much appreciated. I had no idea really where I was putting them, so mega happy with that. So I was just going to start with some basing glue, and then I noticed you could still see some of the holes in the plaster Paris, you can see there. And then I thought, well, you know what, if I'm intending on possibly keeping a lot of this as bare rock, I don't really want these little holes showing. So I've just mixed up some filler and I'm just working it in just to fill the holes where the rock's going to be exposed. Now obviously I'm going to now need to leave this to go off and maybe give it a bit of a light sand, but it's actually giving quite a good texture in places anyway. So I've just put it on, I'm just working it into the holes where I intend on possibly not having much scenics, and then I can repaint it, weather it with the concrete dust powder, give it the same treatment again as this back edge. So yeah, just working it in with my thumb just to fill some of the holes, and then that does give me then the choice, if I decide I want to leave some bare bits, I can do. So here's another example, just here, look, you can see there's these little holes. So with the filler, just working the filler into the plaster Paris, and then that's going to help look much better once all the scenics are in. So I'm going to let that dry, hoover that up, and then start painting the basing glue on the brown, and then try and sort of figure out what I'm going to do with it, how overgrown I'm going to have this area. I was thinking originally I was going to have possibly it as a nature reserve, because I've got to put a gate in down here anyway for the livestock to come in and out the field, and I didn't know if to have a path, another gate, and then a path through here, and maybe a barrow crossing, and this sort of fenced off. But I don't think it's big enough really for a nature reserve, so I think it's just going to be sort of overgrown with vegetation. Put some sort of railway rubbish down here, the sleepers that I mentioned in the other videos, maybe some more rails down here, some wheels, and just make it look like a really sort of messy, rundown old yard really. So I'm just going to start probably with the 4mm Euro, which is my favourite. So I'm just going to put the basing glue down where I want the grass to land. As you can see, I'm going round the rock formations, and then I'm going to probably have to mask them up or put some cardboard around them, and I'm using the layering spray, so then when my second lot of grasses go down, it doesn't just cover them up. This basing glue goes off really quick at this time of year, so it is recommended just to do manageable areas. probably last a bit longer in the winter, but at the minute, being in May and it's probably about 20 degrees or so, it goes off quick, which is ideal really if you just want to be cracking on with it, but just need to be aware of it. It does go off quite quickly. So as you can see, I'm just spreading it round with an old paintbrush. And I'm going to start with a 4mm. You can start with a 2 or a 4 really. I sometimes put 2/4 and 4/2. Don't think, for me, it doesn't make any difference as long as you're getting the tones and the colours you want. This is the 4mm North Euro, certainly one of my favourite. That's the first coat down on there now. So this is where I've got to be careful with the layering spray now, just not trying to get too much on the rocks that I want to keep. So I'm just going to actually go round it with a bit of control. And anything that does go on the rock work that I don't want, I'm hoping I'll be able to just brush it off. So I'm going to load the hopper with a bit of dead next, and I want to have like a considerably darker amount of grass that's near the lines. So I'm going to just work around the edges with that next. I've actually gone with the 4mm winter. And I'm just going to put a little bit around the edges just to darken it up near the trap work, just so it's not quite as a healthy grass near the edges. And the trick with blending this stuff is to use the different colours, but don't put it over everything. Just do it in little areas, and it just gives you those different tones. Again, you can use some static spray just to wet that layer up. And then what I'm going to do now is use probably a spring, which is a lot brighter, and I'm going to do some spring in the furthest places from the track work. So the healthiest bit would be in the middle, and it would gradually deteriorate as it got closer to the lines. And I might run a bit of spring just down this bit as if it's gathering in there. So this is 2mm in here, so it's going to come out quite fast. So I'm just going to tip the hopper. I've got a little bit more control then. And just brighten it up in the centres. And that's starting to give some variation then, which is what we're looking for. I might tone this down a little bit now with a little bit of 2mm patchy. So again, another coat of layering spray. And the 2mm patchy will just blend that in a little bit. So I don't want to overdo this and start going too dark. So again, I'm just going to tilt the hopper to the side, and just a bit at a time, just break up that spring a little bit. And that, I always find that's a really good combination actually, is the spring and the patchy works quite well together. I've got some 6mm dead in the precision. And I'm just going to try put some tufts along the top of that rock formation. Okay, so that's coming together now. I'm going to weather down these rocks a bit, and I'm going to finish off with just some scatter and some weeds, then demask it and see what I've got. This is one of my favourite products just to finish off. So it's quite a coarse and it looks really good as a weed. I tend to always use this over a static grass. It's a really good colour. So this is what I'm going to put down, just sprinkle some of this in places. Just in these sort of gaps here and just in random spots. I'm going to put a bit of basing glue down and then some layering spray over the top, and then when it comes to hoovering and stuff like that, this should then stay fast. So it's just filling up these gaps, and it looks pretty good because this is where weeds would have the opportunity to grow. I'm going to demask that now, have a look, and then I can probably put my ground signals down then. You never really know quite what you've got, I don't find, until you've actually demasked it. So far that's looking like what I wanted it to look like. Probably going to add a few more alt rails in between on the sleepers in a few more places, and then start putting some details down on it. Well, there we go, that's blending in quite nicely with the bit that I'd done before. So we've got really green at the back that's away from the lines, really dark here which is a narrower gap, so the vegetation is going to be less happy there. And that matches here, and then it gradually gets brighter as it's away from the lines, and then begins to be a bit mucky. And obviously right in this corner where both the lines are, most of this stuff there is now dead. So I don't think I am going to actually put this ground signal on cork. I think I'm going to glue it in place and put a bit of vegetation around it and have it similar to this one. I think that's quite a good height where it is.